Guys, welcome to today's lesson. In this lesson, we are going to practice answering questions based on grade 12 poems. In this case, we'll be looking at Sonnet 73 by William Shakespeare. So let's skip right through to the questions. We will just go through the poem when we are answering the questions. Right, so let's start with 6.1. With 6.4.1. So it says complete the following sentences by filling in the missing words. Write only the word next to the question numbers, and they gave us an example there. So we are given words in a box, and we have tonic, iambic, octaves, sestet, rhyming couplet, quatrains, Elizabethan, and free verse. Well, the question says Sonnet 73 is A or an A. So we are given spaces in which we are required to fill in our answers to, but as you know, we are not supposed to write on the question paper. We are going to write the answers on the answer sheet or the answer book. So, answering the questions, let's start with A. So it says Sonnet 73 is so we know that Sonnet 73 is an Elizabethan sonnet, right? So we'll say it is an Elizabethan. Right. Then we go to B. B says it consists of three. Well, we can't say it consists of three free verse or three octaves or three Elizabethan or whatever. So what you're going to do if you don't understand the types of let me say stanzas or the number of whatever, but if you know the word quad, you would understand that it represents 4. So here you are going to count. I'm giving you a strategy. You're going to count. You're going to say 1, 2, 3, 4. That is your first stanza, right? And then you move on. You say 1, 2, 3, 4. That is the second. And you'll say again 1, 2, 3, 4. And now you realize that it is composed of 3 quatrains. So you say quatrains there. Right, then we have C. C says followed by, well, you have counted your quatrains, you're now left with a couplet. So you're going to say a rhyming couplet. Now, why do we say this is a rhyming couplet? We're saying this because if you look at lines 13 to 14, on the word strong, we have the letters O and G at the end. And on the word long, we have O and G at the end. After reading line 13, moving on to line 14, at the end, you're going to realize that these words are rhyming. So you're going to say a rhyming couplet here. Rhyming couplet. Right, now we go to D. D says the poem is written in 14 lines in pentameter. Well, it is written in iambic pentameter, so yeah, this is iambic. And you're good to go. So 6.4.2 says refer to lines 1 to 3 and in your own words explain what the speaker compares his current state to. Well, lines 1 to 3 read that time of year thou mayst in me behold, when yellow leaves or none of you do hang upon those boughs which shake against the cold. Well, you can see that the time of year in which we see in the speaker when yellow leaves or none of you hang is relatable to autumn, right? So we can say that the speaker, 6.4.2, the speaker compares his life to autumn. Say autumn. Right. As he feels that he is no longer an active youth. Right. So we say his days of passion, and energy are gradually being depleted. Because why? He is getting old. He's getting older because he is already old. Well, if you don't feel like explaining what these lines mean in this form, you can say autumn is a cold and dry season, right? And dry season. It is a season of transition from summer to winter. So we say autumn is a transitional season because we're moving from summer to winter, right? So we can say here the speaker is moving from his youthful days to his old days. So we can say in this answer, the speaker is, oh no, not is, the speaker's loss of youth. It's loss of youth is like how, the speaker's loss of youth is like how in autumn leaves lose their color and excuse me, and are eventually blown away by the harsh winter wind. If you don't want to say winter, you can just say autumn. Right, so that is what the line means. Okay, moving on, we are going to 6.4.3 and we have A. So A, barafile, we're given lines there to refer to, and we are given to refer to line 4. So A says identify the figure of speech in this line. Reading line 4, it says Berend choirs were late, the sweet birds sang. Well, the figure of speech used in this line can be, let's see, Berend choirs were late, the sweet birds sang. We can say the figure of speech here is alliteration. Now, alliteration is the repetition of consonant sounds, right? Let's say sounds like B, C, M, such sounds. So it is alliteration in this form. So it says B, explain the relevance of the figure of speech in these lines. Well, we can say since we have a lot of repetition of the S sound, we can say the emphasis, I'm not going to be able to write everything here. Let me quickly erase these. I hope everybody's got that. Yeah, am I doing okay? Sharp. So we have 6.4.3 at B, and we can say the emphasis on the S sound refers to the pleasant sound. We are told that birds were singing there, so we can say the pleasant sound made by birds when they sang. Atop the roof of the church. Right, so we can say this symbolizes the life that once existed in this church that is now in ruins. Right, so let's move on to 6.4.4. It says refer to lines 5 to 7 and explain the meaning of these lines. Lines 5 to 7 say that in me thou seest the twilight of such day is after sunset fadeth in the west, which by and by black night doth take away. So explaining these lines, we can say in these lines the speaker compares aging to day, right? So we say the speaker compares aging. How do you write aging? Aging today, right? He compares or explains how the setting of the sun allowing darkness to prevail is like his vanishing youth. That is now being overpowered by, let's say, death or nearing death. Right, so that is how we are expected to answer this question. Or if you maybe have a different version of the answer, you can say that the speed with which the end is now coming. Moni say the end, we are referring to death, right? So you can say the speed with which the end is now coming seems to be quicker than how it came when he was in his youth. Right, so these are the different versions of the answer that you can give when you are answering this question. Right, so let's move on to 6.4.5. Question 6.4.5. It says, why is the following statement false? Aging is a negative encounter to one's life. Is it? Well, we can say the speaker is false because, not the speaker, the statement. The statement is false the speaker compares aging to a process that we cannot avoid. He also appreciates the aging process as it symbolizes the long life the long life that one has lived. Right. He makes use of the word nourished to indicate that death and aging literally and figuratively are an end to a life well lived. Right. So that is the reason why we can say that the statement is false. It is false because excuse me, the speaker compares aging to a process that we cannot avoid. Means aging is inevitable, right? It is phenomenal, and we cannot overcome aging, right? There is nothing you can do to overcome aging. Hence he appreciates the process of aging, and he explains it in a way that makes it seem as if when you become old, it means you have lived a good life, or you have lived your life well, right? Hence you are becoming old. That is just an indication of a life well lived, right? Let me quickly erase this. Whew. That's bad. That's really bad, but I hope you guys can see it. And then let's answer question 6.4.6. It says, refer to the poem as a whole. Discuss how the theme of death is evident in the poem. Well, the theme of death, okay, let's explain the theme of death. 6.4.6. The theme of death, let's say, in the poem, right? The speaker makes multiple references to the fact that humans are all subjected to death as the inevitable end of their lives. So, guys, one thing you must know is that when you're answering questions based on themes, you must answer them in paragraph form. Don't write them in point form. So, let's say the speaker makes use or reference to the fact that humans are all subjected to death. As it is the inevitable end of life. Right. You can also say that this realization this realization sits almost unpleasantly Okay, so the theme of death is explained by the speaker when he, for example, compares his life to a dying fire. When he compares his life to a twilight, he compares his life to late autumn or winter. It just shows that he is speaking of death, right? So we have another point here, and it says the speaker further makes reference to a burning fire, right? He makes reference to a burning fire. As the fire burns, the residual of ash is left behind. So this just shows that death is nearing, and it indicates that after death, people are only left with memories, the ruins of the person and stuff, right? So it states that the speaker states that ashes would not be formed if there was no fire. Just as one just as one would not age if there was no youth. Right, so that is the theme of death. You can also indicate that the speaker compares death to night, the twilight, when sunset is about to take over, when darkness is about to take over. Just as your answer signifies a theme of death, it should be in relevance to the theme of death. It should be explaining death in some way. So we have the last question here. The last question here says, do you agree with the speaker's opinion on love in lines 13 to 14, and says discuss your answer? Well, in lines 13 to 14 it says, this thou perceivest, which makes thy love more strong, to love that well which thou must leave alone. Well, here you have two choices. It's either you agree or you disagree. You must state your point, or you must state your motion whenever you are writing such a question. So here, let's start with yes. This is question 6.4.7. So when you're saying yes, you must explain that the speaker urges readers to value one another and constantly embrace the presence of loved ones as one will one day die, and you do not want to die alone. You can continue to say that he states that we do not know when we will die. Therefore, each and every moment we get to spend with our loved ones should be treasured. Right. So let us now state the point that disagrees with the speaker on the opinion of love. Right. So let us complete. This is 6.4.7, and let's say no. Right. So let's say the speaker has lived a long life. And you can further continue to say he speaks about how he's now getting frail. As he's in his old age, and say this indicates that we have a long time to spend with our family and loved ones. You can further continue to say that aging happens over a long period of time. And that all that time may be used to share the love we have for our beloved. Right. So this was just answering the questions of Sonnet 73 by William Shakespeare in short. I hope you all understood, and if you do not understand anything, you will leave a comment in the messaging. That's all for today. Goodbye.